today? Good? We're tired? Not really. Energetic? Not really. In between? Okay. Here is, before we start our class, our TA helped us to summarize for the presentation's result from our first case. Okay, our average score, the total score is 4 out of 4. The case 1 got this 3.13, and so we have Riskan, Eva, and Handy. Okay, they got the same votes. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, we got the same vote for the best presenters. Right. So, and then for the good point, good comment, more positive. Okay, presentation skill, well, smoothly, well expressed, PPT content. Okay, well prepared, sort of. Okay, for the parts need improve. Okay, PPT more focus on main points. Conclusion should have been added more clearly. Questions analysis divided parts more equally between team members. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so then, because after each team's presentation, our TA, she helped you to summarize, a report like this and upload it to e-learning, so you can check for it by yourself. Yeah, because sometimes I forget mention about it, like reading one. Yeah, maybe later I will also check for that then. Alright, so today we are gonna move on to our, there are some parts in our topic 5. Okay, we need to cover for it. So then, at least today, I think we will finish topic 6 and maybe cover a little bit for topic 7. Yeah, if we have sufficient time. And today we are not going to have any test presentation, right? Yeah, we move it to week 9, right? And next week is going to be our first quiz, remember? Yeah, okay. So then I think we will, the topic that will be covered will be from topic 1 through 6. All right, topic 7 today, I think I might cover a little bit because in week 9 we're gonna have 2 task presentation. One is for reading, another one is for case. Yeah, so then we're gonna have this short lecture. Yeah, so today, yeah, if time is available, we'll cover a little bit for that. Yeah, and by the way, that because next week is the test. So then, for the presentation group, that means that you also have to submit your PowerPoint slides next week, sometimes next week, right? Would you like to postpone a little bit for you to submit your work, your PowerPoint slides? Yes or no? Yeah, a little bit hesitating? Not that sure?
Yes, we want.
Yeah, because if like we put it on schedule, then you have to submit it by Saturday midnight. Yeah, but I think like probably in the following week you need to spend more time in preparing for your test, right? Yeah, so then I'll give you a little bit more time. So probably till Monday night. Is that okay? Monday, that will be our quiz. April 29th. April 29th is Wednesday, which indicates 27. Is that okay? April 27th, yeah. April 27, what time would you like? Not midnight, because if we set up the deadline, it's midnight. then you will work on it till the end. Then you're gonna sleep a little bit late. Then how about 10? Okay, 10 p.m. or a.m. Yeah, p.m. Yeah, okay. Give you a little bit more free time. Okay, so 27, 10 p.m. Okay, so then you have to reschedule the deadline. Right, so both for reading and also as well as the case, yeah, you can submit it a little bit late then. Yeah, so then you can have a little bit more time to work on that after your test. Yeah, and did I mention to you about like for your quiz, do you need some notes? Yeah? Okay, how many notes do you need? Like actually it's not that, if you can have this, we call it open book or open note test, actually the test questions will be, yeah, you're right, you're quite smart. Yeah, it will be more difficult. Yeah, so it's better to have a little bit, we call it like semi open note test. Yeah. So then I think you are allowed to bring 2 sheets of paper. 2 will be enough. That indicates 4 pages. Okay, double-sided. Okay, is that enough? Or you need more? But only handwriting, no typing. All right. Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah. Actually, the purpose is to let you study, and then you make a note. You also organize a little bit because it has a little bit limited space. So then you will organize what will be the key points. Yeah, you summarize a little bit. It's not like you put everything in the note then. Yeah. So yeah, actually, it works quite well because for graduate school students, I don't really like to give you the test that much, but then, if, I also have been students without tests. Do you study? Not really, yeah. Actually, the effectiveness is not that good. So then that is kind of his approach to force you to study. Then, of course, then you will have a little bit better learning outcomes. Then, all right? So then that will be for the test. So then for the test, would you like to start it a little bit late, maybe from 2:30? 2:30? Is that okay? Yeah. And also till 5, yeah, okay. And yeah, it won't be that hard, don't worry. Yeah, okay. So, any other questions? Yeah. And you can also bring your textbook because sometimes I also give students a little bit surprise to that students open the books for 10 minutes, but without any, you can just only check without write down anything during that time, that 10 minutes. Yeah, so then you may bring your books, okay, or note with you. So then during that 10 minutes, you can check whatever that you are not that sure, and then it was not in your, then you forgot to put that down in your notes. Yeah, and during the test, to be fair, I request you to put all your belongings as well as your mobile phone to the front. Yeah, and then during the test, try not to go to the toilet. Okay, so before the test, you can go to the toilet. Yeah, but then you have, if you don't feel well, then you can let the TA know about it. Yeah, of course, we are not that kind of, like super strict then. Yeah, because it's, like sometimes students, yeah, especially for undergraduate students, they have all these different tricks, yeah. So anyway, I think it's to be fair. So then I think we make all these rules, and that will be a little bit relatively fair to everyone then. This morning I also had my undergraduate class, they also have this first quiz. And sometimes I feel a little bit wondering about what are those undergraduate students, what are they thinking? My TA informed me, it was also quite early in the morning. She told me there's a student informed her like he has a big back pain. So then he requests for, can he have a makeup test in the afternoon? Do you think that is reasonable? Yeah, if you really ill, is it possible like in the morning time, then you don't feel well, but then all of a sudden in the afternoon time, then you become healthy? That's a little bit strange, right? Yeah, so sometimes I was really, you also have been in the undergraduate process. Yeah, sometimes I really wonder about, what are those kids thinking about, Yeah, so yeah, it's a little bit interesting though. Okay, so yeah, any other questions? Then that will be it then. Yeah, so then during the test, the TSU also give you the question as well as the answer sheet, and you write down all your answers in the answer sheet. But when you submit it, you also submit it with your answer sheet. You have to put together as well as your notes. Okay, and on your note, you put your name on it. Okay, and well, of course, when after grading, then the note will be returned back to you. Yeah, for your souvenir, you can keep it. Yeah. All right. So then, yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know then. All right. Okay. So last week I think we finished about here. Yeah, I show you the video about this management assessment center. Yeah, it's also one of the approach, yeah, for some company to select for their candidates, right? And this kind of approach sometimes it might last for about 2 to 3 days. Okay, so then, because during this time they give the candidates several different tasks. Okay, for example, they also request these candidates to conduct this group discussion. Okay, remember last time I showed this video. So this group discussion, before discussion, they will give all the candidates maybe a short business case to analyze it. So one important issue during that time, after of course you need this capability how to analyze a business case. So then that is why currently we try to train you a little bit. So later, because it will have a very high possibility in the near future, then for you to go for the job interview, this process, you will confront with this process because this is very important. So then after that, then they will give you a little bit kind of free discussion. Okay, during that time, can you stay quiet? No, don't stay quiet. You have to try to express for your opinion, all right? And of course, the opinion has to be constructive because as like I think if you like from last week the video, it shows for those interviewer, okay, those reviewer they're sitting back, okay, to check for each each candidate's their performance, okay. So then. As for that part, they observe, right? So that's the Management Assessment Center. So then this Management Assessment Center, sometimes they will have multiple, tasks for the applicants, to accomplish. Sometimes they also test the applicants. This one, we call it as in-basket, this test process, which in case they give the candidates accumulation, of report, memo, note, or some incoming phone calls, etc. And they observe about what? observe about these applicants. How do they handle with all these upcoming tasks? Prioritize all these tasks. Guess what? For example, you finish your graduate program. Actually, for most companies, if the candidates they have this master's degree, they assume these candidates they are more knowledgeable. So of course they will be have kind of high potential to be the manager in the near future. Yeah. So then of course to be a manager, you will be you need to handle with a different type of tasks at the same time. So then they would like to know how do you handle with so many tasks at the same time. Okay, how do you prioritize all these different tasks or actions? Right, this is we call it as in basket. And also this one, leader list, group discussion, okay, from the video that I showed you last week, that is the case, right? They don't point, because that is, it's a group discussion. They don't really have, point out who will be the leader, okay? So then during that time, everyone is, free to express for their opinion, okay? So then, of course, they observe for each candidate their contribution, all right? Sometimes they also find out, call it as an opinion leader, right? Okay, leader list, group discussion. Okay, presentation is also one important approach, okay, for the company to select for their candidates, right? So then, here, of course, you need to have good communication and presentation skill. You show your confidence, all right? Like by present the key idea or key points, for your topic. And another issue is eye contact, all right? And the voice that you express, it has to be confident enough. We call it assertive, okay? So then, because there are some students, they are shy, so during the presentation, the voice is quite small, so then, actually it does not show your confidence. And how could a supervisor, counting on you? Because maybe in the near future, you might need to go visit your client, you might need to go for several different kind of presentation for your client, then, well, it seems like you do not have the capability. Even though you are quite knowledgeable, but then if you cannot express yourself well, it also doesn't make sense then, right? Okay, individual presentation. All right, so here there are several different evaluation tools, okay? It shows validity. Of course, it depends on what kind of job position, okay, that you are recruiting for. So then you select different assessment tool, right? For example, cognitive ability test, of course, ability is high. Job knowledge test, the ability is also high. Personality test, integrity test, okay? Integrity test for some particular job position. For example, for the staff in what department, they might need to have this integrity test.
Finance.
How about accounting? How about like procurement, purchasing? Yeah, for the staff, okay, for the department, they need to purchase some material. We call it procurement. Okay, department. Why in this procurement department they need better integrity? Do you know why? Yeah?
The people in the procurement department usually work with the suppliers, and if they could be coordinating, well, not coordinating, but they could cheat together with the supplier for the company.
Yeah, exactly. For the department, for example, they need to purchase for some material for your company. And then the supplier, sometimes the supplier, because the supplier, different supplier, they also want to, also a little bit competitive, all right? Because they want to let you place the order, so then, well, they will try their best to bribe. Sometimes they also bribe this staff from the procurement department, right? So if this staff from procurement department, they do not have the integrity, yeah, sometimes they might, be bribed, right? So that is not that good, for the material that they purchase from their supplier could be at the low quality, but then they get this, we call it as a commission from the supplier. It's a little bit dangerous for the company then, all right? So that is integrity test then. Okay, structure, interview, etc. Okay, situational judgment test. Okay, all this assessment tools, right? So, nowadays there is a new phenomenon, and of course also kind of new job style. Yeah, freelancer. Do you know what is mean by freelancer? Yeah, okay. We call this kind of job style, it's a gig economy. Ever heard about this terminology before? Gig economy, freelancer. In a case, for example, YouTuber. Yeah, okay. Or like Uber driver, right? They are like freelancer. It's a little bit different from the traditional job position. Okay, it's they are, they have the institution or they are underemployed by some particular institution or organization. Okay, we call this, this kind of work style, job style, as a freelancer, right? They are their own boss. Okay, yeah. So then, of course, the way, for this freelancer, sometimes they make the contract with some companies. So for some company, they might have some particular project, they outsource to this freelancer, right? So then, for a company, for them to select this freelancer, the way they do, it's going to be the same as the one that we select for the, like kind of the permanent employee. This will be different, right? Yeah. How do we select it? Okay. For example, reputation. Because for these, freelancer, sometimes they will have some record or some, requirements. Yeah. And I'm not that sure because. As I know, there are some people, even though they have a full-time job, they also have this, it's a little bit like a part-time job to be like a YouTube, Uber driver. Yeah. So then, for them to become this Uber driver, of course, they, the company, they need to check for this and that different certificate to make sure they meet all these different requirements. Sometimes it's also a little bit related to their reputation then, okay? Are they, their credentials, sort of, right? And these freelancers work products, okay? Sometimes like for their, if they are kind of this kind of freelancer, they are under kind of some sort of project oriented, of course they will have some work products, okay? So then they might check for the performance from their work product and their detailed project work experience. Right, so for all this, kind of could be some criteria, okay, for you, if you're in the future, you have a company, you need to find this kind of freelancer, under some sort of project, more project-oriented project then, right? And, it's towards to the end of the process in selecting the candidates. After all these tests, okay, then, well, you might gonna make some final decision. Of course, in our next topic, we'll talk about interview. after the interviewing process, you might gonna have some, very limited candidates. For example, the case that has been presented last week, eventually, and after all this different process, they come up with 4 potential candidates. Okay, so then, you might need to find out, you might need just 1 or 2. Okay, the last process, what you have to do will be the background check, background investigation. Why check? Why we need to check for the background? This candidate's background. Yeah?
For example, if the applicant is trying to apply to work in a bank, and this person happens to have a record of like theft, then it wouldn't be appropriate to let the person handle money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do you think you can get this information from his or her resume?
No.
Yeah.
But like if you could request something like a police check,
Mm-hmm.
then
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not that sure because in Chinese there are some job positions. Or earlier we talked about this freelancer. Sometimes the company requests this kind of, we call it police check, 良民证, that you need to have this certificate show that you are a good citizen. Yeah, so then there are some particular job position they request for you to show this certificate then. Yeah, so exactly, why we check? Because in the resume, you can, or through all these different tests, or even through the job interview, can you really identify this, we so-called like criminal record, or like, this applicant might have some bad relationship, with his or her previous supervisor? We cannot really know about it, right? Because for this bad experience, we skip that from the, like the information that we provided if you want to look for the job thing. Yeah, so it's better for you to verify it, to verify the applicant's information, because the purpose is to uncover, disclosure the damaging information, because generally in the resume, all of us as an applicant, we do what? We exaggerate, a little bit for the information that we provided in the resume, right? We exaggerate, or we provide some false information. Yeah, sometimes like when you are writing about the skills that you have, for example, language is also kind of skill, language capability. Well, then you might write down about, Chinese Mandarin, for international student. Well, think about like, maybe I can just only say 你好 or 谢谢. But then you might write down like, fluently, sort of, Sort of, Does that ever happen to you? Or some other different languages? Yeah, in the resume, of course, you exaggerate a little bit. Okay, that is normal, right? So that's we always have to do this background check. Okay, applicant social posting. Nowadays, there are some organizations, some companies, they also request for what? Your social media, like your Facebook, sort of. They will check for the argument that you made in this social media. Are you kind of that kind of person, or a little bit anti-socialism? Yeah, actually, it can also be observed, from this social media. Yeah, but by doing this, I think it's also a little bit controversial, because like for the Facebook, it's more towards to something personal. Yeah. Well, it depends. For me, I'm sure it helps for the organization, to check a little bit more for the candidates. Yeah, but then, for for this part, I feel a little bit skeptical because I feel like it's something more personal. It's not that appropriate then. Right? Okay. Pre-employment information service, etc. Physically same. Okay. So these are related to background investigation. And actually for the background investigation, okay, there is one that's been used more often, which is a reference check. I think I mentioned about it last week. Yeah, it indicates that generally in some application form, the company, they will ask you like who will be the person. Maybe you nominate 3 person. Okay, they can conduct this. We call this reference check. Yeah, those could be your previous supervisor, something like that. All right, and generally it's been used quite often then, right? Or a credit check, or your driving record. Okay, if this job position, okay, it's the driving skill, or like you need to have the, use this vehicle quite often. For example, like salesperson. Yeah, of course, I think it's also necessary for you to check for all these related records. Right, and honesty testing, yeah, it's a bit similar to the integrity test. And okay, there's also one approach can identify a little bit for this person's personality, which is graphology. Yeah, ever heard about it? That indicates from what? From your handwriting. Actually, can also identify a little bit for your personality then. Yeah, but then what's that about? Okay, I can show you this short video. Okay, you can take a look at it. This will be interesting. So then later you can check for yourself or your neighbors.